Good morning and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be building a raised bed out of resource material from someone in town. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is to figure out where you're going to put the raised bed and prepare that area. The area I have to work with for my raised bed is right here. It's the only place in this area that gets a good amount of sun. So I've already leveled out some of this ground here, but I'm going to just clear this out a little bit more and then measure where the raised bed is. I had to change, it was way too hot. And if you have seen my other video on the best clothes to wear when doing outdoor projects, you know that my outfit wasn't exactly what I proposed as the best anyways. And it's still not because I'm wearing shorts, but I also don't really expect to be doing much in the field today. Mostly just building this pallet, but it is really dusty, so I changed my shoes to my little work boots. Okay, so next step is to measure out the outside of the bed. So I started with measuring how much space I had on the ground here, which was about 7 feet. So I have about 7 feet that I have hollowed out and made a little space for a raised bed to be. And I found a piece of a pallet that worked just perfectly. Okay, so this house had an electric chainsaw, but the oil is out of it and I can't find more oil. So they have a handheld one as well. And I'm just makeshifting a little table for it. So what I did is have the deck here, and I just put some screwdrivers on the side here so that when this moves back and forth, the screwdrivers stop it. And it's actually worked really well so far. And then just a little safety note, gotta wear the glasses so the dust doesn't come in my face. Ready to go. Okay, if there's one thing that I'm really bad at, it's drawing straight lines and cutting straight lines. Don't know why, I'm just not a straight line kind of person. I'm just like, I don't follow recipes, just like I don't follow instructions. So, but my box turned out somehow. I'm quite shocked. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I lined everything up, and I'm going to take the first corner and drill it together. Now that I have all my pieces together and placed out and ready to nail all together, I'm going to actually take it out of this area because of where it's located. I think instead of having it as a raised bed, it's actually going to be an in-ground bed. You know, like those cool trampolines that are in the ground, but this is a garden bed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the pieces out and then nail them together up on a flatter surface, because I can't really get at the corners in some of those areas because they're against the hillside that I made. And then I'll put it back in because it won't be that heavy, level out the ground, and then put whatever I'm going to put on the inside of it, which I'm going to do, in this case, I'm going to do some peat moss, some mulch, some soil, manure, and that is about it, I think, for now. And then I'm going to rake in or shovel in all this leftover dirt around the outside. Something to be aware of if you are sourcing your wood from somewhere, and especially if it's a pallet, a broken down pallet, you want to look for the codes on the piece of wood. So you'll see a 2-letter a 2-letter code on most pieces of wood. This one has HT, that means heat treated. Here are some other ones other letters that you might see on there. The one you really want to avoid is the chemically treated one, because if you are using that in a raised bed or anywhere in your garden, the chemicals from that wood can leak into your soil and change the chemistry of your soil, which will probably hurt your plants. It's a new morning. My drill bit died yesterday, so I had to just quit for the day. I also kept breaking my boards, and that's because I forgot to drill before putting the nails in. So I was using these really tough nails on these really fragile boards, so instead I'm using these nails. And I'm drilling the hole in first on each side of the end pieces. As you can see, I did here. And I'm going to go through and do that and then put it all together. Okay, just as a reminder, this is my first raised bed, and I've never made anything with a drill and a chainsaw by myself before. So this is what turned out. My bed. Look at it, I'm sitting in it as if it was a bed. Okay, so what I found to be the easiest thing to do is to put these 3 base layers together first. So screwing in the sides, which I had showed you earlier. And then, still having it outside of the actual plot that it's going to be sitting in, I drilled in these little pieces. And granted, I only had very minimal material to work with, which was nails and a drill. And a hammer. So I drilled these in sideways, so it's not super stable. This is not a bed that I would suggest anyone move around. Like, it's here, it should stay here. So I nailed these in, and then I put this bottom layer down. And then I did the same thing on these 2 layers. As you can see, it's not very stable. And then I put it all together like this. And so now, if I had more material, what I would do is put stabilizers on the side here. I would also add some boards to the outside to make sure that the soil doesn't come out of that far corner, which doesn't have any of the earth protecting the soil from leaking out the side. So I only have this really thick wood, and I don't have any longer nails than what I've already used. And I don't have enough space to use the chainsaw to be able to cut these in half. And because this isn't really going to be moving, and I expect it to be filled with soil most of the time, I don't expect it to need that much stability. So if you did have more materials, I would suggest putting, like along here, just lay some stability posts there. So now, the next step is I would suggest, if you have a lot of weeds in the area that you're working in, to put cardboard down. That will help suppress the weeds. But I actually just got this shipment in, the house that I'm at, got a shipment in, and it had all this nice paper in it. And it's not plasticky, like I can tell that it's just purely paper. So I'm putting that down, and that will help kind of suppress anything that might try to come up, and it also might help start to build that microbial life. Might give, if I decide to put worms in here, will give the worms maybe something to gnaw on. Just a good base layer to have. No, no, that day. No, 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 I'll be there. No, I'll never forget that day. No, no, that day. No, no, And there you have it, folks. A raised bed with a view. No, I'll never forget that day. No, no, never forget that day.